Today is the day, something I have been wanting to do all summer, and now here we are, last month of summer, and I'm now just starting it. We are manual swapping the E34 Touring. About time. Really cool weather this week. Perfect time to do it. I've been a little MIA. I had a parts car that I was stripping out last week, and obviously I didn't want to bore you guys with that. But if you've noticed, I posted a E34 interior removal video from that car. So I've been busting that car out, getting it out of here. But now it is time for the manual swap. So this stuff is from a different parts car. I got my pressure plate, flywheel, and clutch down here. I got the pedal assembly. I got the center surround, shift boots, bell housing bolts, and then I got throwout bearing, trans mounts, pilot bearing, exhaust manifold gaskets. That's the word I'm looking for. Trans fluid, new slave, new master. I got all the clutch hydraulics, whatever miscellaneous other like shifter bushings and shifter bushings and whatnot. So time to start the manual swap and get this auto out of here. And I'm happy to do this because this car, the cats are clogged on it and it is unbearable to drive. Had it not been like that, I honestly would have probably just pushed this manual swap off because it's a lot of work and I'm not really looking forward to doing it. But this car was undrivable it has an exhaust leak and the cats are shot. So driving it was just fumes and miserable. But I already got rid of the shifter surround and the knob, gave them to some friends. So there's no going back now because, yeah. So the plan of attack, first things first, this isn't gonna be like a full DIY, but if you have one of these cars, this will definitely help you. So to start, what I'm gonna do is pull off the exhaust. You already know you gotta do that. You gotta separate it from the headers, drop it, there's bushing there, and then couple with the muffler. Pull down the exhaust so I can access everything, pull off the heat shield, and then I'm gonna start with the drive shaft. And then from there, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and drop the trans. All the electrical stuff right there is kinda, you could probably do it in the last minute, to be honest. So definitely gonna drop the trans first. You know, like I said, if you guys need a DIY on this, E34.net, as good as it can get. They go through everything. So you really don't need a DIY video. I'm just gonna kind of show you guys going through it and make this like, you know, my usual videos. But got a trans jack there because these auto trans are definitely over 200 pounds. So I don't want to kill myself. But yeah, we're gonna get going. I'm gonna keep you guys updated along the way. So I got the exhaust out. And as you can see here, there's the exhaust leak I was talking about. This muffler is completely blown out. So that's why this thing sounded awful and smelled awful. But exhaust came out well, except one of the studs on the header snapped. Only one. I've done that before and gotten away with just running two with no exhaust leak. So hopefully it doesn't leak. I don't really want to replace the header, so I'm gonna try to do that. I got the heat shield off, drive shaft is out, it came out easily. A lot of times it gets pretty seized into the diff, but I was able to mess with it. CSB on this thing is gone, and even crazier, so is the CV. The CV is destroyed, but take a look at this Guibo. This thing is absolutely destroyed. So there's the Guibo right there. Cracked, shredded, absolutely garbage. So that thing was not holding up. I guess with an auto trans, you don't feel that stuff as much. With a manual, that would be miserable. And yeah, so now comes the fun part of basically supporting the trans and starting to undo the bell housing bolts. Apparently there's an access port to the, what is it? The torque converter. And when I always did parts cars, I'd always pull the engine with the trans, pull the trans off the engine, and then have someone hold the engine and do the torque converter bolts. Apparently you're supposed to do them while it's trans is still hooked up. Apparently there's a little access port. So I'm gonna try to do that and see if if that is doable. I don't know why it necessarily says to do it like that, but I'm gonna do that now because that'll be easier later, because then that will stay with the trans rather than unbolting it by itself. So yep, they were right. You'd see right there's a little rubber plug. Pop it off, and that is the torque converter bolt. There's 3 of them. So apparently you twist the motor, which I just did, and you line them up, and then I guess if you put the trans in park, it'll hold it so that you don't have to like counter hold the engine or whatever. With it out of the car, it's a little bit of a different story. So I'm gonna put the trans in park, and hopefully I can get that with just a breaker bar, because you can't fit an impact in here. So I'm gonna see how easy that is. Hopefully it is easy, and putting it in park does work. I'm here by myself, so I have no one to counter hold it. So we'll see. I got all 3 of the bolts out. I found that using a, where did I put it? A flex neck with this size extension, 3/8, not a 1/2 inch, and then it's a 17. So what you want to do is you want to kind of fish it in like this, in between that crossbar, and get in like that, break it, and then you want to flip it up like this, get it in there, and then quickly you could twist it and just keep a finger on that so it stops spinning. Because once you break it free, it spins very easily, but it's hard to get your hand in there. So that was the best technique I found. Those are done. Now I'm gonna put the trans jack under it and undo these right here, these front mounts, and pull these out so I can just slide it back. And then the back mount, so I could lower it a little bit, and then do all the, I wanna say it's 7, but it might be 8, 9, or 10 bell housing bolts that are various E-torques, and they're all around. Starter is probably gonna be the biggest pain in the ass, but we'll see how this goes. So luckily, thanks to Zach, I have this extremely nice tool, which is the super long extension you need, 1/2 inch on one side, 3/8 on the other, because all the E-torques are usually 3/8, and this lets you use a big boy wrench on it or an impact. So this is super helpful. I got the top 2 bolts. I got one of the starter ones, the bottom. The top starter bolt, I'm not sure how to get to it. Like, the bottom one you can get, but you have to, it's a nut on the other side. I don't want to pull off my intake manifold, so yeah, I was able to hit it with the impact and get it loose. So just like this one, I was able to just kind of put my hand on either side and finger loosen it. I'm trying to do it with this one. I can just barely get my fingers on it. Well, she is up, or she's out and down. The car's not high enough, so I'm gonna have to hit it with the jack and lift it up a little higher to get her out, and then slide her out, and that is that. What a pain in the ass that was. That auto trans sucks. It's heavy and just junk. So what turned into a trans swap turned into a coolant overhaul. So I was getting the tran lines out and the cooler, and instead of doing it the right way, I tried to manhandle it out, and I popped a hole in my radiator. So there's the old radiator. Here's the auto trans. It is out.
Show them the trans lines.
Trans lines are somewhere in the tree. I threw them both out of frustration. I recovered one and threw it in the garbage. The other one is MIA, so I have no idea where it went. But yeah, trans fluid and coolant all over the floor, so now I'm hosing it out. And I'm gonna take a dinner break, and then I'm gonna do the column tonight, and then I'll come back out here tomorrow when this is dry, and I'll finish up underneath and stuff. I'm a little irritated with myself. All right, well, I let the disaster dry underneath. I'm gonna spend the rest of the night finishing up the interior, meaning the pedal box. So I got the center console shifter all out and stuff, but now I gotta do all this. So I gotta remove the kick plate, the bottom kick plate, and then pull out the column. There's a few things, gotta unplug all the connectors, disconnect the battery. There's two kind of bolts up here, then there's the one impossible bolt that you have to cut into to get out. And then I gotta disconnect the brake pedal from the master, and I think that's it. I don't think you have to do all 4 of those bolts that hold on the master. We'll see when I get in there. So we got the column and the pedal box completely out. There's the Baron E34 interior. I just spent the last hour with what is called the impossible bolt. So this is a bolt with no head. You can see here I carved in with a Dremel a flathead slot. This is the hardest freaking bolt. I've done like 3 of these. Never had one give me this big of an issue. Normally you slot the head, take a screwdriver, and it'll come off easy like that one. This one I had to go and go and go. I almost resorted to cutting it off, but luckily I have this impact driver, which is like a screwdriver that you hit with a hammer, and it, you know, whatever, more torque. So with this, I was able to finally get it. Thank God. So now I'm going to be popping in the manual pedal box, which is right here. So there you can see I got the pedals. I need to replace the master. I have my new one, so it's just the 2 bolts there, and then pop that right there, and then I'll have the new master ready to go in. And then I believe I'm gonna hook up the hard line to this before I install it, because that makes it easier is what I heard. So I'm gonna do that and then pop that back in, and then the column will go in, and then we should be all set inside here. Attempting to put the pedal box back in, getting the master feed and the hard line out is a very, very daunting task. I finally got the feed in here, the blue soft hose that goes into the master. So do yourself a favor and take your heater valve and unbolt it and move it so you can get your hand down through here to grab the feed. So you want to pull out the reservoir, drain it, pull it out of the grommets. There's an outlet with a cap. Cut the cap, put the hose on it, remove your heater valve, route the hose to the right of the booster and in. That is done. I think that will be easier than doing the hard line, because basically you kind of have to have the hard line like tightened to the master, but it's really hard to get it down to where it has to meet the slave, and you can't have it already hooked up and you can't route it through, so you gotta kind of route it through. So I don't know what I want to do, but it is not easy. I kind of think it's tightened from inside the chassis or inside the car, so I'm gonna try to route it up and then see if I can bolt it up to the pedal box. But this is by far probably the most tedious and annoying part of the swap so far, for sure. It's just not fun. It's like 11:30. I really want to get the whole steering column and the pedal box hooked up and in by the end of the night, so I don't have to do that tomorrow, so I can put the interior back together tonight, and then tomorrow I'll just put the trans in, and then voila. So I'm trying to hammer through this, but it's just not going well. I give up for the night. It is 12:30. I've gotten nowhere since the last update. I cannot get the hard line for this freaking master to route properly to allow the master to actually bolt up. I don't know how the hell it's supposed to go. I don't know why it's not easier. You can't, I don't understand how you do a master on one of these cars, because the way it goes to tighten the line in is in the engine bay, but you cannot get a wrench, your hand, or anything to where that is in the engine bay. So I don't know how. I've never had to do one. I don't know how you do one. I guess I'm just going to watch a video. It does not make any sense. Maybe that'll give me some insight. I cannot get the line to route. I have tried tons of orientations, every technique. I am just at a loss. I'm sick of it. I'm done. I'm done for tonight. This car is irritating me. So, I don't think manual swaps are worth it. I honestly don't. Like, I don't think I care to see this wagon as a manual with what I'm going through right now, how frustrated I am. It's just this, I mean, you'd think just routing clutch hydraulics would be easy. It's the hardest thing. It's the most challenging thing I've done on a car ever. Like, it is that difficult. Like, I don't know how you are supposed to do it. I'm probably sounding like a whiny little bitch, but I mean, if you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. And props to you, because I can't go any further tonight. So tomorrow I'm going to go in with a clear mind and see if I can think of something new. Maybe get someone to help me to like operate like the master while I'm operating the line. But I'm done for tonight. So I will see you guys tomorrow, and hopefully tomorrow goes better.